Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more relationship stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Well, let's crack on with today's first story. But before we do get into it, I do want to give you a couple of warnings that it does contain grooming, parental death, talk of cancer as well. So if you do want to skip the story, please feel free to do so. As I said, timestamps are always down in the description and along the timeline below. Thank you. Now this is from Derpy Pets Be The Best from the Am I The Arsehole subreddit and says, Am I the arsehole? Older woman is trying to mother my boyfriend and ice me out. I think she's overbearing and I need some boundaries. We've been dating for 1 year plus. 3 months in, his mum was diagnosed with terminal cancer. He had to move home several states away. I moved out at his request for 3 months and got my own place. His mum and I got along amazingly. She even left family jewelry to me in her will. He told me about his friend, 25 female, who had a crush on him in high school. Fine. He also told me that he stayed at her apartment for a night when he'd gotten there. Also fine. But things got weird when I met her mum. We went over to hers for dinner, and she and her mum only talked about how close he was to them. They told me that when he'd gone over to 25 female's house, he stripped down to his undies so she could do his laundry, and that she did his hair. He'd never mentioned this. He'd have a special nickname for him and he'd tease me for not using it. The daughter even went upstairs to change into the same outfit I was wearing. The mum was even more possessive. For months now, she's iced me out over and over. I didn't hear from him for 2 days and later found out she'd taken him on a trip to New York. When he moved back, the mum flew up to help and asked him to stay in a hotel room for the night. He could have stayed at mine. I asked, 1 bed or 2? He said my suggestion was gross. She's like a mum to him. She keeps crossing boundaries. She takes sips of his drink at dinner. When I take a bite of his food, she immediately asks him to make her a bite. This summer, they insisted they all take a vacation together and I wasn't invited. A few days ago, his mother passed. He decided to stay in his condo alone for the night. 50s female flew in at 1 a.m. and went straight to his condo. There's no couch and it's a 1 bedroom. She slept in his bed for 2 days. I was shocked, but I didn't say anything. This is not the time. He can barely talk and is processing his grief. But I was so appalled and insulted. She also told me not to come over to check on him. She even asked me to drive her around and run errands for her. I ignored that and went over. Every time I tried to get close to him, cuddle in his bed, sit next to him, she took my place or made him move. Then she got ice cream on her shirt and she took it off in the living room. As I was laying next to him, she hovered over us. His uncle and grandparents seemed to have an issue with her too. He told me that she and his family were fighting over him. He never stops her from crossing the line. He needs to solve that, or I need to eventually walk away because I can't feel like an intruder in my own partnership forever. Would I be the arsehole to ask for some boundaries here, or am I being jealous and controlling? In the comments, someone asks why haven't you spoken about this with him before, and OP says his mum has been terminally ill all year and he's been in such a low place. I hardly saw him in person and this is an in-person talk. I didn't want to spoil our time together when I did see him or burden him with trying to renegotiate existing relationships he's getting support from during this rough period. Now that she's passed and he can start healing, I'll wait a little while and talk this out with him. The really weird stuff started happening just recently when he's at his worst, so I've been holding off. Someone asks about the water cup and OP says he said about them stealing his water cups that he gave up trying to stop them a while ago because they keep doing it. So they kind of wore him down and are persistent on some things like that. He one time said something to the mum like, stop being weird around OP. And they didn't talk for a week or 2, but they worked it out. I don't know exactly what was said, but I didn't dig into it, but that was the only time, and it was really early on when this stuff started, and then never again. Someone asks if he could be like her sole beneficiary, and could she be after the money? OP says he is the sole beneficiary, but she is a very wealthy woman, and there's no reason for her to go after the inheritance. I also come from wealth, and they know I wouldn't be after his money either. That's a non-factor. I do think she would only be happy if he was with her daughter. I've long thought that. The daughter is dating someone else, so it's kind of a weird thing to hold out hope for. So OP continues in that post giving more info on the last few days and says she flew him back to the home state 2 days ago, and beyond the text telling me they'd arrived, I've heard nothing since. I know he'll be back in the next few days. He has to work next week, but I get a sick feeling when I think too much about it. I have no idea what's going on over there right now, and I am super concerned, but I don't want to blow up his phone either. I'm tired of walking on eggshells though, I won't lie. Someone questions Opie and says, why didn't you tell her to put a shirt on? Opie says, I thought she was going to do a quick shirt swap. He was in the bathroom and I figured if she was just swapping shirts quickly, it's no big deal. But she got distracted by her phone while changing and stood on her phone in her bra long enough for him to come out of the bathroom, and the whole time he was saying goodnight to me. It's actually creepier than I described above. Kinda wordy and hard to explain, but I'll do my best. She opened the little laundry closet and was standing by the little closet door like 5 feet from us, and it blocked my full view of her from where I stood as we said goodnight. I'd moved there after she took her shirt off to try and give her privacy. If it was the quick swap I thought it was. But I could see her watching me give him a hug through the crack in the door over his shoulder. I was like, what the fuck? Someone questions the boyfriend's response to one bed or two, and Opie says he seemed grossed out by the suggestion there was anything sexual between them. I do genuinely believe there is nothing blatantly sexual going on from his end, and that realizing the stuff she's doing is grooming-esque will be a huge eye-opening shock to him. I think he's been conditioned to see her as Mama Bear or Mother Hen for him and his friends. There's another guy our age that she has a similar closeness with, and he thinks it's all totally platonic because they've broken down his barriers one by one slowly. Someone says his mum was friends with this woman? And Opie says, so when I first came onto the scene, his mum was not a fan. He said she felt replaced by this woman even before it got really crazy, so I didn't bring it up much with his mum since it was a touchy subject. As his mum got worse, this friend started coming over to his house and befriending his mum. I think she put up with it to make him happy and make him feel supported as he was dealing with her getting worse. That woman was a saint. I adored her. The moment his mum passed, she pissed off his grandparents and uncles immediately after spending the last 2 months befriending them. She has a son already, but I had a holy shit moment yesterday and realized there's another guy our age that she has similar closeness with like my boyfriend, and I realized this is a pattern. There's girls in the friend group that's always at their house, so I didn't connect before, but she isn't close with the girls like she is with my boyfriend and this other guy. He is single before you ask. And we'll start with one of the top comments on this post, which is from Fluke Dupes Lot, who says, not the arsehole at all. The actions of this older woman show possessiveness, grooming, and jealousy. She is dominating him for her own self-gratification. If she really did care about him, she wouldn't have ignored his attempts to set boundaries. She wouldn't push you out. She would in fact want more people there for him, not fewer. She's a predator. She's a manipulator. She has set herself up to speak for him as though she's the one who knows what he needs and cares about him most. She is not. What she says isn't important. Her actions are important, and she's isolating and dominating him. He's conditioned to it, and his grief has made him even more susceptible to her wiles, which she has capitalized on. I think you could wait in the wings for a bit, or you could talk to him sooner. The message could be something like, older woman has taken a lot of space in your life. She's acting like she's an authority in your life, and she's explaining your life to you to make her a large and critical part of it. I think she's disrespectful, possessive, and overbearing. But what I think isn't important as what you think and what you want your life to be like. You didn't have to accept the place in your life she has demanded and taken, but you can. It's your life, and I, unlike her, want to respect your autonomy and give you choices. Take your time and figure things out. It's on him to decide who he wants in his life. If he can't get out from under her influence, he's not life partner material. Spare Engineer says, not the arsehole. This would definitely be an ultimatum situation for me. Honestly, I'm already a jealous person. I try not to be, but seriously, this is way crossing the line and would be completely unacceptable regardless if he's grieving or not. I'd be like, you'll want him so bad you can have him. He doesn't seem to be trying to include you or address all the weirdness. Ping Pong Professor says, not the arsehole. You have a boyfriend problem here. Her behavior is clearly beyond inappropriate and he isn't doing anything to stop it. One or more of several things are going on here. 1, he's completely oblivious to how over the top inappropriate this is. 2, he's enjoying her attentions. Or 3, he doesn't enjoy her attentions but doesn't have enough of a spine to put a stop to it. In the end, it doesn't really matter which of these is the case. A long-term relationship with him simply isn't sustainable as long as she's in the picture. You said it yourself, in quotes. He needs to solve that or I need to eventually walk away because I can't feel like an intruder in my own partnership forever. And it says, so tell him that. And then there was a lot of people saying, you know, what a fucking weird situation. A lot of people saying OP should just break up, and a lot of people talking about grooming. She's targeted him when he's vulnerable, when he's just lost his mum, and she spent a long time normalizing this behavior so he can't see what's really going on here. But OP adds an update to the post and says, I called him this morning. I haven't heard anything in 3 days. He was asleep. Whoops. He said he would be driving back with her either today or tomorrow. He's taking the family dog and it's a 14-hour drive. I asked him to let me know when he's coming and keep me in the loop. My current plan is to show up when they get in, regardless of the time, and tell her she needs to get a hotel or she can even sleep on my couch. Ugh, they might get in a weird hour where she can't check in, preferable over sharing his bed. She's not sleeping there. I feel sick to my stomach and I'm trying to do calming breathing, but I can't imagine letting another night in a shared bed go by. That's all I've got for now. I'll update what happens when they get here. Let me know your thoughts on the current plan. OP adds a small update some hours later and says, so he texted me saying he was in the car heading back, and I couldn't stop myself. I said something and I'll provide exact quotes from the text below. The links to the screenshots can be found on here, as well if you want to see it that way. Then adds a transcript, which says, me. Have a safe drive, but I need to be upfront with this. Where is the friend staying tonight? I think she needs to get a hotel room. He said, don't think we're making it the whole way today. Got a pretty late start. Probably a hotel, then drive remaining tomorrow, but we will see. I don't want to kick her out right now. She leaves Sunday morning because of no flights tomorrow. OP said, are you comfortable with her sleeping in your bed? OP says, I don't care to be honest. She's like a parent to me, so it's never made me uncomfortable. I'm sorry if that makes you uncomfortable. I don't have my couch yet, otherwise I would sleep there. But I'm not going to make her get a hotel when she's like family to me. I need you to be okay with this right now, please. I can't handle more questioning about my decisions than my family has already done every single day for the past week. So please just say you're okay right now. We can talk about this a different time if you want, but I'm barely keeping my shit together. OP continues. So I was just, wow. I was speechless. I know he's struggling hard, but I couldn't believe he would blatantly say her staying over was more important to him than my clear discomfort. I do want to have an in-person discussion about this with him. For those who would say, leave now, I hear you, but it's hard to do a 180 in a day. Edit. I made a mistake on the last update, left out 2 middle texts by accident, but overall the message was the same. As you can imagine, on that post, people were asking questions like, what the fuck's going on here? They started off like, why the fuck is she coming with him anyway? OP said she's coming with him because they're driving the family dog back that he's taking on now that his mum passed. It's like a 14-hour drive and he doesn't like to drive, so she hopped on it. It's his place. She had nothing to do with it financially. I dread them taking this trip together, but I will arrive in the middle of the night if I have to when they get in and tell her to take her bags and stay in a hotel. Someone asked, how long has this been going on? OP says he's known him since he was 14. She made a comment like, I've had him 11 years, almost longer than his family did, the day after his mum died. And I felt so skeeved out by that wording. And 3 days from that post, OP adds, forgive the delay. We talked yesterday, but I was tired and didn't get typing it up. We talked in person. Basically, he agreed with everything. They won't let him have a relationship and they need to stop the weird shit. He agreed. He wants us to all be friends. And I said I could try if and only if the weird shit stops now and forever. I doubt it. He agreed she's possessive and controlling and it needs to stop. I challenged why he'd say this now, but on Friday I said there's an issue and he told me to leave it alone. Felt hypocritical. He said if he puts boundaries up with them, they will retaliate, his words, against me and blame me for ruining their friendship. I pointed out how toxic and unhealthy that is, and he agreed. I want action taken. Words don't mean much now. If he can't put up boundaries immediately and hold to them, I'm gone. But even if he does hold to it, I can't constantly worry about this. She can't fight to possess and control him every time there's a crisis, especially not a mutual crisis. House burns down, pet dies, when I'm struggling too. I'm still at a loss at what to do here. His mum died a week ago, and leaving him after he said he wants to fix it is tough. When it's just us, things are fantastic. For those saying leave now, I do hear you. I'm not shutting my ears to you. It's a lot to switch from seeing a future to considering leaving it all right now. Holy moly, that is scary shit. When OP was explaining about You know, she took her top off and she was in her bra, and then she was peeking through like the crack in the door watching them cuddle. They made eye contact. I was like, that's some horror movie stuff, man. And when he was talking about putting up boundaries, and he said that they would retaliate against the OP for ruining their friendship. Gee whiz. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? How would you deal with it? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit. It doesn't have an update, just to give you that warning in case you want to skip it. And it's from a throwaway account that says, Am I the arsehole for telling my daughter she's a disappointment? I have 2 daughters, 23 female, 20 female. They're both so beautiful and smart, and I really love them both. I always wanted them to be strong and independent women who could stand on their own feet, and I tried to raise them that way. They were both interested in volleyball. I always supported their interest. My younger is still playing in a team and also studying at a good university. She is really hardworking, and even if she does not succeed in playing professional volleyball, she will definitely have a good job. My older daughter quit both sports and school when she got pregnant at the age of 18. When she first told us that she was pregnant, I was very upset and advised her to have an abortion because having a child at such a young age would disrupt her life. She did not want to have an abortion, and my wife supported her decision. To be honest, I was very insistent on her having an abortion at the time, but when I saw that she remained determined, I dropped the issue and supported her fully, even though I didn't want to. She got married quickly with the baby's father. Then she decided to stay at home and take care of her child, and her husband started to work. I never wanted my daughter to be financially dependent on her husband, but I never voiced it either. But of course, my daughter knows that I'm bothered by this. Yesterday we were having dinner with my daughters and my wife. My wife and daughter started talking about being a mother. My wife told her that even though I wanted her to have an abortion, I love my grandson very much now. My daughter asked me if that was so, and I said, of course I love him. I really love my grandson, but my daughter knew that I was bothered by her situation, so it didn't sound sincere at all. My daughter said I could give an honest answer. I told her that I really love my grandson, but that I was disappointed that she'd become a mother at an early age, had left school and her job, and was now dependent on a man. She didn't argue with me, but the rest of the night was a bit tense. At the end of the night, she went home and my wife started a fight over what I said. I told her that she was the one who wanted an honest answer, but my wife is sure that I'm an arsehole. My younger one agrees with me but says I was rude to say it out loud. Edit. I'm not sorry that my daughter doesn't live the life I want. I'm sorry that she lives dependent on another person, and I can't say that their marriage is going very well. They chose the sport they wanted to be interested in, the university they wanted to go to, or their hobbies, etc. I didn't force anything on them. All I want is for them to be self-sufficient. I also told my daughter that I would pay for a babysitter if she wanted to go back to school or get a job. Yes, she is only 23 years old, could still have a career, but she's not doing that. And in the comments, Emerald says, I'm going to give you some serious advice and I hope you listen to it, OP. I'm the daughter in this situation. I got pregnant when I was 16. Was it a great idea? Absolutely not. But the decision was made, it was done. Well, my mum was exactly like you, consistently bringing up things like how she thought my life would be different. She was disappointed I became such a young mother. She had bigger plans for me. It's such a shame I didn't listen to her when she told me to abort, etc., etc. for years. Well, guess what? Now I'm 37. I'm happy and successful, and my daughter is 21 now, and one of the best people literally on the planet. But guess who I haven't spoken to in 4 years because I got so tired of listening to the crap over the years? That's right, my mum. If you value your relationship with your daughter and grandson, it's time to let go of the dreams you had for her life and focus on being a supportive and kind part of the life she has now. Happy Trifler says, question, is your daughter happy being a wife and mother? I'm going to say you're the arsehole, even though I can understand being disappointed. That said, please keep in mind that being a successful parent isn't about raising a child to be who you want them to be, but raising them to be confident in who they want to be. If your daughter is happy, then that's all that matters. Blum says, unpopular opinion, but no one's an arsehole here. Being financially dependent on another person is dangerous, especially as a woman. Even if the provider is not toxic, an accident or death could change everything. In my opinion, both parents should be responsible for providing. It's safer for the child. The first month is really hard for the birth mother, so most of them staying home for this period. Not only for the recovery, but to stay close with the baby. After this, it's normal to go back. The daughter can still be an independent adult in the future. Which 10 replies to that and says, "For real, these you're the arseholes are crazy. OP sounds extremely genuine and isn't making over the top demands. OP just wants their daughter to be financially independent and educated. What's the harm in that?" I thought, without much credibility. I feel like OP's daughter isn't happy as well and was looking for validation through her son. Judgment, not the arsehole. And one more comment from Some Sugar and Spice who says, "Not the arsehole. It's very understandable that you feel the way you do. You have a point. It's incredibly dangerous for women to be dependent on men. The path your daughter has chosen leaves her in a vulnerable position where she won't be a fully autonomous human being. Her husband will always have a say over her, even if it's unconscious for all involved. You want what's best for your daughter, her being able to live a safe life. That life isn't possible if she's financially dependent on her husband. You also didn't call her a disappointment. You called the circumstances surrounding her situation disappointing, while making it explicitly clear that you love your grandson and don't resent him or her. The only thing you can do is be there for her if things go south, and hope she has the ability to leave if she ever needs to. Many women won't be able to take that step, tragically." I always find the word disappointment, or I'm disappointed in you, such a kick in the nuts. I can't remember what program it was where they said, "I'm not mad at you, I'm just disappointed." And I kind of felt like, is that really what OP's trying to get across? It sounded more like they're scared for them, they're worried for them. Like some of the comments saying about, being financially dependent on one person, etc., etc. And there was a lot of people in the comments below that one sharing their horror stories of that kind of thing. But what do you guys make of this one? There's some verdicts both ways on that. Many people saying, if she's happy, just be there to support her in case anything else happens. Other people saying, they can get where OP's coming from. What's your verdict on this one? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, support, and time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being involved. Truly, it's absolutely amazing. And hopefully, I will see you in the next one. Take care and much love.